If you're married and have federal student loans, should you always file a separate federal income tax return from your spouse? It depends. Income-driven repayment plans adjust your monthly federal student loan payment based upon your taxable income and your family size. If you're married and you file a joint federal income tax return, the Department of Education is going to calculate the payment based on your total household income. So file separate returns, right? It depends. One of the factors to consider is whether you and your spouse both have federal student loan debt. Because if you do, you're going to want to understand how that's going to factor into the payment calculation. Most people don't realize that the government prorates your payment under any of the IDRs based upon your share of the total combined federal student loan debt. Even if your spouse isn't on the same repayment plan, even if your spouse isn't in repayment at all. What do I mean? Let's say you have $50,000 in federal student loans in your name. Doesn't matter if they're for undergrad, grad school, or even a Parent Plus loan that you took out in your name. Now let's say that you're married and your spouse has $100,000 in federal student loans in their name. Again, doesn't matter if it's for undergrad or grad or even a Parent Plus loan. So we've got $50,000 in federal student loans in your name, $100,000 in your spouse's name. You file a joint federal income tax return and you apply for an IDR plan. Doesn't matter which one. IBR, ICR, pay as you earn. Doesn't matter. Based upon the total household income and your family size, let's say the calculated payment comes out to $500 a month. Because you owe 1/3 of the total federal student loan debt, when you apply for your IDR plan, your payment isn't going to be $500 a month. It's going to be $166.67, or 1/3 of the total federal student loan debt for the household, even if your spouse isn't in an IDR plan. Now, the government's only going to prorate if you file a joint federal income tax return, though. So if you file separate returns, they're going to use only your taxable income, which leads us back to the original question. Should you file a joint federal income tax return with your spouse? It depends, because as with everything else in the world of student loans, the solution is always based on your individual situation. If you've got questions about your federal student loans, your private student loans, or any debt whatsoever, as always, you know where to find me.